My sister-in-law excluded me from family photos on the trip I paid for, but now she's ruined because I left her luxury room bill unpaid. It all started with a promise. My father-in-law, Ernesto, had been diagnosed with an irreversible heart condition. The doctors were clear. He had at best a few months left in good health. His greatest dream was to see the sea one last time, surrounded by his family. And I, Andres, his son-in-law for 8 years, decided to make that wish come true. I organized the perfect trip, a week at a luxury resort on the Pacific coast, all-inclusive. 3 rooms, a farewell gift for a man who, despite his reserved nature, always treated me with respect. My wife, Mariana, was touched. My in-laws were grateful. But there was one more person on the list, Laura, Mariana's younger sister, and that's where it all began. Laura was the living definition of entitlement. At 29, she lived with her parents and had spent years trying to start businesses without success. Her latest venture was a line of overpriced artisanal candles with designs copied from Pinterest. It lasted a month. I agreed to bring her along at my wife's insistence and for Ernesto's sake. She's his daughter, Mariana said. We can't leave her behind. I agreed with conditions. She'd cover her own extra expenses. I'd only pay for basic accommodations. How naive I was. From the airport, Laura arrived acting like a fallen celebrity. Designer luggage, sunglasses indoors, and a constant demand that someone carry her bags. Not a single thank you, not a single gesture of courtesy. During the flight, she complained about her seat. During the transfer to the hotel, about the driver. And when we arrived at the resort, the nightmare began. "This is my room," she asked, eyeing the 40-square-meter space with a garden view balcony, marble bathroom, and king-size bed. No, I requested an ocean view." "You didn't request anything," I replied calmly. "This is the room I covered." She looked at me as if I'd spat in her face. "Are you saying I have to look at a garden like some maid?" My wife stepped in. Ernesto was already tired and wanted to rest. I gave in. I paid for the room upgrade. First concession, but not the last. Over the next few days, Laura turned the trip into a parade of demands, complaints, and unnecessary drama. The breakfast was too basic. The pool was too crowded. The included massage was mediocre. The hotel staff didn't understand her level of sensitivity. We tried to ignore her. My mother-in-law buried herself in her books. My father-in-law just wanted to see the sea and enjoy quiet afternoons. Mariana, torn between embarrassment and sisterly loyalty, tried to mediate. I swallowed my anger. Every time Laura asked for another favor as if I were her assistant, every time she corrected me in public, every time she mocked my shirts, my habits, my way of speaking. But the worst came on the 4th day. We were dining at the resort's main restaurant, candles, soft music, everything seemed perfect. My father-in-law raised his glass, emotional. "Thank you for this, Andres. It's the most beautiful trip of my life." And then out of nowhere, Laura chimed in. "Of course, if someone else paid for it, I'd be happy too." Silence fell. Everyone felt it, the venom in her words, the unnecessary cruelty. "What did you say?" I asked calmly, my heart racing. "That you're very generous with Mariana's money, aren't you?" My wife tried to intervene, but it was too late. My father-in-law lowered his head. I gripped my glass tightly. Laura smiled, satisfied, as if she'd won a battle. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed on the room's balcony, watching the sea, listening to the waves, planning. I decided that if she valued nothing, she didn't deserve my effort. She didn't deserve my respect or my money. And so, I began preparing my silent, relentless revenge. On the last day, while everyone packed, I went to the front desk. I checked the charges. My room and my in-laws were covered. Laura's, with all her extras, ocean view, daily room service, spa treatments, premium cocktails, was still unpaid. And there, with the same smile I use for my toughest clients, I said, "I won't cover that bill. It's under Laura Gonzalez's name. Let her handle it." I signed the confirmation, asked them not to call me if there were issues, left a tip for the receptionist, and returned to the room as if nothing had happened. Checkout was at noon. At 12:15, already in the van to the airport, Laura hadn't appeared. My wife tried calling her. No one answered. Finally, she came running, disheveled, furious. "What did you do, you idiot? Why didn't you pay my bill?" "Because it wasn't my responsibility," I replied. "You had my dad pay my bill. You humiliated him. You humiliated yourself the moment you decided to treat me like garbage." Total silence in the van. My wife was crying. Ernesto looked at me and nodded, just once. In that moment, I knew, at least to him, I wasn't the villain. Back home, the tension exploded. Mariana stayed with her parents for a few days. Laura took to social media, posting a thread painting me as a monster, the abusive son-in-law who abandoned his sister-in-law at a hotel. The story went viral. There were hate messages, cruel comments, people who knew nothing weighing in like experts, but I didn't care. I had screenshots, receipts, testimonies, all the evidence. And then, in one final act of justice, I responded. I posted the whole truth. The trip I planned, the rooms I paid for, her constant humiliations, her history of whims, her final debt. the moment her father had to use his emergency credit card because she chose to live like a queen without paying for it. The tide turned, people switched sides, and Laura disappeared from social media. My wife, after weeks of silence, came back. She'd talked to her father, seen everything, and apologized. But something was broken, not the love, the loyalty. Today, 2 years later, I'm divorced. My former father-in-law passed away peacefully a few months after the trip. My ex-wife thanked me for the trip until his last day. She admitted her sister would never change, and though we're no longer together, she wrote me a letter with a single sentence that I keep in my wallet. You were the only one who truly listened to Dad. Laura still hasn't paid me back, but I've already collected, in dignity, in truth, and in silence.